Okay, imagine this. You're walking into a hospital. Your heart's probably racing a bit, right? You feel worried, vulnerable. Well, the very first person you meet can literally change your entire experience. That first interaction, it sets the tone for everything else. So let's talk about why that is, and more importantly, how to make sure it's a good one.
And this is exactly what we're talking about. This is Priya, and she's voicing a fear that, let's be honest, millions of people feel every single day. It's that knot in your stomach, that deep-seated need to not just be medically treated, but to be truly heard, to be understood.
And you know what? Responding to that fear doesn't just feel good, it has a massive, measurable impact. Get this, research shows a staggering 78% increase in patient trust when staff simply show respect. This isn't just about being nice, this is about delivering better, more effective healthcare. It's huge.
So how do we actually do this? Well, here's our game plan. We're going to start with those critical first 5 minutes. Then we'll get into the huge difference between sympathy and empathy. After that, we'll break down 3 practical pillars of respect, learn how to listen and set limits, and finally we'll see the powerful ripple effect all of this creates.
It really does all start here, the first 5 minutes of any visit. You see, the person at the front desk, they're not just an administrator. They're basically the gateway to healing. They are setting the emotional tone for a patient's entire journey.
So as we go, we're going to follow 3 people who really represent so many of us. We've already met Priya, who's full of anxiety. Then we have Anil, who's nervous and really needs to feel like he can trust people. And finally, there's Meena, who, when she gets stressed out, can become pretty demanding. Their stories are going to show us how all this works in the real world. Okay, so this brings us to the absolute core of the issue, the difference between sympathy and empathy. Now, it might sound like a tiny detail, just semantics, but trust me, it's a subtle but incredibly powerful difference that changes, well, everything.
So what's the difference, really? Well, sympathy often uses those soothing words that actually kind of minimize or dismiss how someone is feeling. Like, don't worry. But empathy is active. It's about naming the emotion, saying, I see you, and then, and this is key, providing a clear next step. One connects, the other deflects.
Let's look at this in an ER. The sympathetic response, don't worry, this happens all the time, is meant to be nice, but it kind of invalidates their fear, right? But the empathy upgrade? First, you name the feeling. I can see you're worried. Then, you give them a plan. It's validation plus action. See the difference?
Okay, now for a classic flashpoint, the billing desk. A dismissive rules are rules, next, just stonewalls the patient and makes everything worse. The empathetic approach is totally different. First, acknowledge their feeling. I can see this as stressful. Then, offer options. Here's what we can do. It's a simple shift that turns a potential fight into a collaboration.
And one more, because this is so important. When a patient is scared of needles, saying, be brave, don't be a child, is basically shaming them. The empathy upgrade is a total game changer. It starts by validating their fear. Needles can be tough. Then it gives them a plan, a little bit of control, and this incredible feeling of safety.
All right, so we get what empathy is, but how do you actually practice it, especially on a crazy busy day? Well, that is where the 3 pillars of respect come in. These are the practical, actionable tools that make empathy a real, doable thing.
These pillars give us a really practical toolkit. They are listening with care, which we call HEAR, showing kindness without words or smile, and setting polite limits, which is BOUND. Each one has a simple framework to guide us.
So, let's start with how to really listen and connect. This is where we use these specific frameworks to build that genuine trust we've been talking about all along. First up is HEAR. It's a simple but super powerful way to listen. H is for hear them out without interruptions. E is for eye contact to show you're actually there with them. A is for acknowledging their feelings. And R is for repeating back what you heard. That last one is so important. It proves you are really listening. So let's see how this works with Priya. Instead of just saying, oh, it'll be fine, a staff member using HEAR would say something like, okay, I hear that you're stressed about your surgery. Is that right? Just by acknowledging her feeling and repeating it back, they can immediately lower her anxiety and start figuring out what she needs. Next up is SMIL, and this one is critical because, let's face it, most of our communication isn't even words. So smile warmly, make your body open, that means no crossed arms, incline toward them to show you're engaged, look at them kindly, and express calmness.
You are literally communicating that you care before you've said a single word.
Now think back to Anil, who walked in nervous, skeptical. A warm smile and some open body language, using that SMILE framework, can break down that wall of mistrust almost instantly. It's a nonverbal signal that just says, hey, you're safe here. We are on your side.
Okay, now for what might be the hardest part of the job, setting polite limits. This is all about how to say no when you have to, but do it with compassion and professionalism. It's crucial for preventing burnout and making sure every patient is treated fairly.
And for that, we have the bound framework. Be clear about the boundary, offer kindness, understand their side of things, navigate toward other options or solutions, and do it all with respect. It's basically a roadmap for those really tough conversations.
This is exactly what was needed for Mina. Remember, she was demanding to be seen right away. Using BOUND, the staff could say, I understand you're in a hurry, while still protecting fairness for everyone else. It turns a confrontation into a respectful negotiation.
So, we have these amazing tools, HEA, SMIL, and BOUND. But what happens when an entire team, a whole facility, puts them into practice? That's when you see the ripple effect, the incredible, measurable impact of this kind of communication.
And the results are backed by hard data. This isn't just about warm fuzzies, it's about real outcomes. We see that 78% jump in patient trust, plus a 55% boost in patient satisfaction. But look at this last one, a 75% improvement in staff wellness. When you empower staff to set respectful limits, their jobs become less stressful and way more sustainable.
This creates this powerful, positive cycle. The patients feel valued, which makes the staff's job more fulfilling and less stressful. The whole facility then gets a reputation for amazing care, creating a true win-win-win for absolutely everyone involved.
So all of this leaves us with one final thought. What if the most powerful tool in all of healthcare isn't some high-tech scanner or a numerical drug, but is actually just a single respectful conversation?